So it's the final week of the Keto Marathon, so I'm here to wrap up some of the results and some of the things that went on throughout the week and then through the race, and then what I'm going to be doing post-race. So let's get started. So this is the, if you haven't already noticed, I completed the race. So this is the finishers t-shirt, and I also got a finishers medal that you might be able to see here as well. And that's a really great addition to the Gold Coast Marathon, is, getting the shirt, getting the medal, the shirt in particular, because it's something that you train in all the time. Okay, let's roll back a little bit. Let's go back to the night before the race. So I'm here at the Gold Coast, and I'm currently pretty much in the kitchen of this apartment. It's got the best light. It's got a window that's right there, so I can get a little bit of light onto my face, but it is, pretty dark outside. It's late in the afternoon, so I'm down at the Gold Coast and ready to run this full marathon using the ketogenic diet. So this is the last week of the vlog. I'm sorry I haven't been keeping up with it for the last couple of weeks, but from there I was basically just tapering, and that tapering period is quite boring. You basically just stop running as far and it's not really as fun because you don't get to run as much, but I'm feeling really good. I went out for a 5 and a 10k run this week, so I mean, like, the mileage is about half what I'm used to doing. So I might show you some of the things that I'm actually going to be using throughout the race. I'm going to be using almond butter, and I'm going to be using electrolytes. Now the electrolytes, the Endura electrolytes, and they're really good. I've been training with them pretty much the entire time, and the important thing about the things that you use is that you make sure that you train with them so that nothing is different on race day. It's so important for that to happen, because if you change things up on race day, and you might get some GI distress, or you might just really hate the taste and then not be able to use it throughout the run. You need to be able to build up a solid aerobic base for you to be able to burn fat efficiently, even just running for a long time. So that's what I've been doing the past 12 weeks, is building up a really strong aerobic base. And so, that aerobic base can come from doing intervals, and doing a certain amount of, tempo runs. But a lot of it comes from just going out there and doing that really long run. I remember doing my first 16k run 12 weeks ago, and I couldn't finish it. I absolutely could not finish it without some sort of gel or some sort of sugary substance. My blood sugar levels just dropped dramatically. And so now I can do 30Ks. So I've effectively doubled the distance. 30Ks, no troubles, with just body fat pretty much, and maybe a little bit of almond butter for just, for the salt, I guess. And taking in electrolytes as you go. So it's pretty interesting. It's been pretty interesting seeing how you can improve something like this quite drastically in only 12 weeks, so 3 months. And if you're constantly working to these types of goals, then you're going to be able to be doing so much with what you can do. So you can sort of tell I was a little bit nervous, and I went to bed. I didn't get a great night's sleep from there, but I woke up in the morning, got up at about 4:45, drove to the precinct, got there, got everything sorted, and started running. And that was when I started running, and I was going pretty well. I started out pretty fast, I guess. It felt easy. Like, the whole first half just felt easy. Right up until the halfway point, which is the first, half marathon. I was doing just under 6-minute Ks, so about 5:45 kilometers, whatever. I'll put the miles up here on the screen. And I felt really good, but what happened was I got to the 25k mark, and something went wrong, and I'm not quite sure what, but I either went out too fast, or the almond butter that I had just wasn't working for me that day, or I'm not sure. I may have burnt up too much of the glycogen with the excitement and the energy being at a race like that. And so from the 25k mark right up until just past the 30 mark, I was in a lot of pain. And so you can see my pace slowed down a lot. And then I kept going, and then I finished pretty strong in the last 7Ks, especially strong in the last 2Ks. but it was a tough race. Marathons are really tough, and I think my pacing was just a little bit off, and so I ended up with a time of 4 hours and 50 minutes. So not extremely proud with that. I think I could have done a lot better, but in the circumstances, running it on using the ketogenic diet, I think that went pretty well. So I think going forward, if I do this marathon again, I probably won't do it in a strict ketogenic state. I will be targeting some carbohydrates throughout the race, or so I think I've spoken to Zach Bitter about this, and he is of the impression that trickling in some carbohydrates as you need them, so you don't totally deplete your glycogen levels, I think is the most important part. You need to be fat adapted to a certain point, but then after that, it doesn't really matter how fat adapted you get. You're still going to be pushing into higher effort zones, basically. And so I want to be racing pretty fast from now on. I know what this sounds like, the keto marathon's not great for speed. For me, I don't think that I fully utilize the fat adaptation phase to get me properly fat adapted so that I could do a marathon like this. I don't think that 12 weeks for me was enough training. I went from doing the half marathon this time last year, and then I literally did nothing right up until the 12-week mark, and then I trained for this. So whether that's being undertrained, whether, I'm building a great aerobic base from here, but everything from here, I'm going to probably be targeting in some carbohydrates throughout the training, throughout more so the races. I think I tend to train low, as they say, train in a pretty low carbohydrate state, and then race high. So I think that's probably what I'm going to be doing next time. I'm definitely going to go back and do the full marathon again next year, just to get a better time, because I know I can do that. And there's a few races coming up. There's a 10K race here in Brisbane that I want to do and maybe do a good time on, who knows. But I want to keep that, I've built up a really good aerobic base, so I don't want to lose that now. But I went and got what's called a DEXA body scan. And this is basically a body composition scan. And I wanted to see sort of, where I was sitting at when I finished the marathon. How much body fat I was carrying, how much muscle am I carrying, how many things, and I definitely feel pretty lean, which is a good thing. I've probably lost 5 kilos since I started. So, over 12 weeks, losing 5 kilos isn't that much, really. I wasn't doing this for weight loss. And I don't think you should be training for a marathon for weight loss per se, because when you go out there and you train those long endurance runs, and if you're in a calorie deficit, then I think that your body goes into a lot of stress. But doing one of these was actually really, really beneficial for me, because it's highlighted a few things that I wasn't probably keeping an eye on throughout my training. So a DEXA body scan is really good to be able to tell you what percentage of body fat you have. It's very accurate in doing that, because it basically scans your entire body and tells you where your lean tissue is and your fat tissue is. Now, for me, the surprising thing for me is that I came back with a body fat percentage of 24.4%. For someone who's just run a marathon, that's bad. That's pretty bad for me anyway. I usually sit around the 17, 18, potentially 15% mark. So I'm up 10% body fat from where I've previously tested at. And this is, I've tested years and years ago, but this is not that great. And so what I think it is I think that me particularly, I am pretty bad with dairy. I don't do so well with dairy, and I don't think it has an immediate effect with what I do. I think it has an accumulative effect. So over 12 weeks, if I was to eat cheese over 12 weeks, I would be carrying lots of inflammation, lots of mucus, just everything that comes with having a dairy intolerance. And I've tried to avoid it for my entire life. But as a kid, I used to get earaches when I had too much dairy. I remember my mum took me off dairy and the earaches went away. But I think the same thing is happening here. So, what happened was in my training, I did 12 weeks and I did lots and lots of basically aerobic base building type stuff. And that's really good. I didn't really, even though the training program that I've built for this particular marathon, I don't think that I followed it particularly well. And what happened was I went out and did a lot of slow, long runs, but I never really did any resistance training, and I never really did much else. And so for me, that's a big eye-opener, because 24.4% shows that I have very little lean mass on my body and a large amount of fat, particularly in my trunk area. That's sitting at around 29%, which is the part where it's probably you're the most at risk. And so essentially what this is telling me is that I'm skinny fat, and that's dangerous. That's really dangerous, and it's a big eye-opener for me. So over the next however long it takes, I'm probably going to do another one of these tests in the next 2 months, and I'm going to be cutting out all dairy. So you can see I'll be doing dairy-free meal plans, I'll be doing dairy-free recipes, all of that sort of stuff on the website, which is going to benefit those who also want to avoid dairy. I did a podcast interview that'll be coming out in the future with Liz Williams and Jane Downs, and they are the owners of Fit Keto Girls, and they also cut out dairy for their 6-week challenge. And they said, it builds up a lot of inflammation, and I totally agree. And it's just something that I don't think a lot of people in the ketogenic community are either aware of or care that much, really. And so, dairy is a big pull for the ketogenic diet, because if you can eat cheese, you can eat yogurt, all that sort of stuff, you can stick with the ketogenic diet. But I think I'm at the point now where I need to eliminate dairy and see how that plays into my body fat percentage, and I also need to add back some resistance training, but I definitely don't want to lose any of the endurance base that I've built up, so I'm still going to be doing that. I also am going to go get my vitamin D levels checked. I'm going to be taking zinc, and the reason why I'm going to be doing those things is that low testosterone can also be a factor in having low body mass. Now, the mass I'm talking about, your lean mass, when you have testosterone free around in your body, you tend to have a bigger size, and you have less potential to actually absorb any estrogen. So having good testosterone levels is really important for that, and you can do that naturally with zinc, eating lots of red meat, all that sort of stuff, and also getting your vitamin D levels checked. So making sure you're getting enough sun, or supplementing if you need to. So going forward, I'm going to be doing a 10K race in the next 8 weeks. Then I'm going to be doing another few races, but I'm actually going to get back into cycling as well. So I'm going to be having a few more weeks of just, trying to see what is happening and then get stuck back into cycling. And I'm probably going to go tomorrow morning, actually. So went for a run today. So this is the 3rd day I had of a rest. And so I went for a run today, did a fast 5K, 23 minutes. I'm pretty happy with that. I guess I shaved 2 minutes off over the 12 weeks. So that's not too bad, but I would like that to be under 20 minutes at some stage over the next year, I guess. But that's for me. That's the keto marathon training. I hope you've got a really solid base of information around what I'm doing here. If you want to know more, and if you want to train for your own marathon, I have 2 training guides that you might be really interested in: the half marathon training guide and the full marathon training guide. Now, the training program is specifically for people who are looking to do a low carbohydrate or a ketogenic approach when they do the training for it. And so what that means is that there's not a lot of high intensity sustained efforts. And the reason why you don't do that, and you don't do that until maybe about 3/4 of, or 2/3 of the way through your 12-week plan, is that can very, very easily deplete your glycogen levels and send you into, you're just going to feel really whitewashed, and it's not really actually beneficial. And that's sort of that gray zone where you're running too fast for aerobic capacity, but you're not running fast enough to be able to build up sprints. So I have 2. I have the half marathon and the full marathon. The description of those is in the description below. If you're really interested in those, I think it's $25 for the 12 weeks. So it's really, really cheap. It's something that I just put together to hopefully help out a whole bunch of people who want to do the same thing. And it comes with a full ebook and all of the training, nutrition, and everything that I used throughout the marathon. And you know, I also have a podcast where I did a complete race review on this, and so if you want to listen to that, that is in the link below. So go ahead and subscribe to the Fat for Weight Loss show, and it'll be the bonus episode in the list. But you know, thank you guys so much for watching and following along with this journey, because it's been 12 weeks. I can't believe that 12 weeks I decided to do a full marathon, and here I am right now telling you that I did it, and I did it on a ketogenic diet. So it is definitely possible. And for anyone out there who is looking to do the same, then go back and watch my videos. Go back and watch all of the weeks before. There was a few skipped out over the past few weeks, I'm sorry. But it was basically taper weeks and just boring stuff. So I kept it pretty succinct. And moving forward, I'm going to be trying to reduce my body fat and getting it tested with the DEXA scan. If you haven't had a DEXA scan before, go ahead and get one yourself as well, because they're really, really informative. And they're cheap too. I think this one was $70 from Qscan. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next phase of preparation for whatever I'm doing next.